Well, if you missed the loud keyboard, I'm sorry to disappoint you today. We're going with the quiet keyboard. I'm Bill Gross. This is our Homebuyer seminar. We get together every week and talk about buying your next home or your first home. I'm
Mhm.
with my good friends and colleague
Patricia Castillo.
and our good friend and lender extraordinaire.
Shannon the lender. How's it going, guys?
That's his real name, by the way, Shannon. And then his middle name is the. His parents thought he had it, the lender. And they knew when he was born that he was going to be a lender, and that's how it all worked out. So good for you. Just teasing. You got to tease Shannon a little bit. Okay, so what we're going to talk about today, before we start, we talk about, I hate to talk about this topic, but I guess we need to address it. Buyer's remorse. Do buyers sometimes get frustrated in the process and then want to back out or have thoughts, and we need to address those?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that they start, buyers start, which I think is part of the process because this is a new payment, new budget. Most buyers that are paying rent are paying at least 3 to 4 thousand. At least in my experience and buyers that I've spoken to lately. And so this is prompting them to want to buy a home, but of course you're going to pay a little bit more. And so getting used to that new payment is something that is sometimes a little challenging because anytime, a buyer is going to spend more money, whether it's on their monthly mortgage payment or just sending in that initial earnest money deposit to escrow, there are certain things that, because it's all a new process, or these are the certain things that make them a little bit uncomfortable. So it's really talking through all of the processes and things to expect, because when you expect it and you're educated on it, then it's not a surprise and it's not going to come back and haunt you afterward. So I think that's the part that first time buyers are sometimes struggle with is what are the costs going to be? Is any of it refundable? Right? Can we get our money back if we close? And then what are the costs after? After you buy a home, that doesn't mean you're you're home free, right? I mean, you're home, but you're not going to be absolved from any future expenses because now you're a homeowner. So it's almost like having a project that never really ends up being quite finished. There's always going to be something that needs to be fixed or updated or upgraded, customized, however you want to put it. But there's always going to be a cost involved once you become a homeowner.
And just to piggyback on what Patricia said, yeah, there are certain things when you're in escrow that are non-refundable, certain things that are refundable. Now, I would say the bigger bills or the bigger things in an escrow are refundable. Once you put your deposit in, you're also going to have a final deposit, and those things are protected with your contingencies, right? If you have a loan contingency, you have inspection contingency, you have appraisal contingency. So these are pretty much windows of where you can pretty much back out because of these things, and your deposit is protected essentially. But there are certain things that are not refundable, and the two biggest things is your inspections and your appraisers. So, and these are the two things miraculously that you pay outside of escrow, because no matter what, these people have to get paid.
Right.
And usually you back out because of these two people, right? You pay your inspector, something's up, you guys got to negotiate how that's going to get fixed. And if it doesn't turn out that way, you back out, and the inspector still has to get paid. Same thing with the
Mhm.
appraisal, right? You pay for the appraisal up front outside of escrow, and if it doesn't appraise for whatever reason, and you back out, the appraiser still needs to get paid. So those are the two things that you definitely want to look out for when you're in escrow. And I always tell my clients this: look, the appraiser and the inspector need to get paid outside of escrow. Everyone else only gets paid when you close the deal and everything's done. With the exception of if you do get the California Fair Plan, if you miraculously happen to need to get that for whatever reason, they want to get paid outside of escrow. They do not want to get paid inside of escrow for whatever reason. State of California just wants their money right away. But
Mhm.
yes, those are the two major things that are not refundable when you're in escrow. Everything else, a lot of clients are like, "Oh, is this set in stone?" I'm pretty sure you get this, Patricia. Am I locked in? I signed the contract. Is this it? Is it over? And no, you still got your inspections, you still got your loan contingency, you still got your appraisal contingency, you still have things to protect you. But yeah, once you pay for the inspectors, once you pay for the appraiser, that is it. Those two
Right.
things Which again, if you did back out for whatever reason because it didn't appraise or something happened with the property, it's better to be out that money than to be out your full deposit. So that's just the name of the real estate game, and it's just, you know, the cost to play this game we
Cost
call
of
real
the
estate.
business.
There you go. That's what I was looking for.
Well, it is and it isn't, meaning this is really interesting because before I got in the real estate industry, and I started in the mortgage business. So right before I started, a year or two before, I was working in computers, electronics. I was making good salary. I was living in Florida, and we're working in an office building, and 2 doors down was a bank equity department where they made second trust deeds only. They didn't do firsts. And they would do, you know, equity loans to people who want to take equity out of their house, remodeling, lines of credit and such. And, you know, we knew, you know, like, really cute girl, 2 doors down. I was a young guy making good money. Of course I knew her. But she came to me one day and said, hey, there's this property that is going for foreclosure. It's a great deal. And, you know, you might want to, you know, I know you're young and you're doing well and you might want to buy it. And I looked at it, the numbers kind of made sense to me. So I went down to the corner bank, which is like the equivalent there of Bank of America, you know, the big bank that's by default. And I remember I walked in and, you know, I wore a suit every day and I was making pretty good money for a 24-year-old kid and had money saved up for the, you know, I had the deposit in the bank and I had good credit and I had money and a good job. And I walked in the bank and they just made me feel like it was a peanut. I mean, it was just so intimidating. I remember meeting the bank guy, and he wasn't a loan officer. He wasn't like you, a mortgage originator separate from a bank. He was the guy in the bank who's so bad as a lender that he can only get a job in the bank branch. And the guy, you know, hands me these forms that look like, you know, a PhD dissertation outline, and said to me, you know, fill this out and give us a deposit. And I figured how much it was. It seems in retrospect, maybe it was $250 for the appraisal, and I think now they're probably $500 or $600. But this was 1985, so it was a while ago. But it was not inconsequential money, meaning it wasn't like life-changing money, but it was not inconsequential, like $500 today. I mean, I'm not going to go broke over $500, but if I lost $500, I'd be pissed, right? And I said to the guy, well, before I write you the check, can you look at my numbers and tell me if I'm going to qualify? He goes, no, we really can't do that. You have to apply and then we'll tell you. So I had to like pay, so he didn't pre-qualify. He gave me no confidence that I was going to go through. And that's a long story, I guess, of saying that's probably how I got in the mortgage business. Was I looked at a customer applying and being declined as a failure because I should have told the customer, hey, you don't qualify. You don't have good credit. You don't have the income. Sometimes customers would hide facts or wouldn't disclose things, or things popped up where the property didn't qualify. But it seems to me that if you're going to do these things, that's why you have a realtor who knows the property conditions and knows they're appropriate for the kind of loan you're getting, and a loan originator like Shannon who can tell you, hey, dude, you don't qualify. You know, I only had that job for a year and a half. Maybe I could have qualified. Maybe I wouldn't have qualified. But he didn't even look at my W-2s or pay stubs to even tell me one way or the other.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Crazy. It was a beautiful house in Fort Lauderdale.
Did you end up buying it just for the
No,
story?
because I said, I'm not going to write you a check and have you tell me if I qualify. I don't know if I qualify. How would I know if I qualify? I thought I was making good money. I was, you know, making, you know, and I look back at that time and the house wasn't much. It was maybe, because this is Florida in 1985. I mean, maybe it wasn't $100,000. It was like $80,000 on the Intercoastal Waterway. Yeah. And I had, you know, 5% saved. Could have got an FHA loan probably. And while I had been that job for a year and a half, I had worked steadily for the prior 4 or 5 years. So I was, in retrospect, I was totally bankable. Don't know why the guy he didn't run a credit. They didn't do anything. They just, you know, typical bank. Oh yeah, I filled the paperwork. And when we have time, we'll tell you if you qualify or not. So that's why we don't go. Yeah. We don't recommend our customers to walk into a Wells Fargo and say, "Hey, can you help me?" Because the answer really is no. They're not going to tell you no, but the answer really is no.
Well, that's unfortunate, and hopefully those people like that are not in this business anymore. But
no, they are. No, they are. I hate to tell you, not to be argumentative, but I walked in my local Chase office to do something, and there's a guy there, there's a mortgage guy looking for business. Like, no, you don't want to do business with that guy who has to be in that branch office waiting for people to walk in. Mm-hmm. Yeah, realtor, I want to talk to you. No, I don't want to talk to you.
Yeah, and some of the things that, so that's a good point. That's one of the reasons why talking to a mortgage broker like Shannon can give you a really good approximation on what you would qualify for without running your credit and charging you anything. So this is free, and this will give you a really good estimate on what it is that you qualify for.
Yeah.
So I've been sharing that information with a lot of my potential buyers that are looking to purchase a home, and so that just seems to like take the pressure off immediately. When I say, "Oh, we don't even need to run your credit. We can just give you an approximation of what you may qualify for." And so that seems to be a very welcoming, piece of information. But in going back to some of the repairs that we were talking about, so after you buy the home, there may be some things like changing the locks on the home or having them rekeyed. You may want to install security cameras. And so these may not sound like big things, but once you start actually working on these things, you get into maybe you want to change out the window blinds. Maybe you bought the home with used appliances, but you want brand new ones. Maybe the appliances start to break down. Appliances are not cheap, they're very expensive. Um, Garage doors, some of them tend to be very noisy if they're not newer garage doors. So that might start to get on your nerves where you want to replace it. You might have plumbing issues. That's something that is very common. Replacing the water heater. So that alone, a water heater can easily run you about $1,800. So this is just one thing, right? The water heater. So when you're looking at types of repairs that a home might need, these are all very common. Doesn't mean that the home doesn't have good bones, that it's falling apart. It just means that it's part of being a homeowner. These are things that you're going to have to invest in order to keep your home up and for it to look nice, because you're going to be living there. You may want to resell it one day. You don't want to live in a dilapidated home. You want it to look nice, but it costs money to keep it up and keep the maintenance up. If you're not versed in gardening and running a lawnmower, you may need to hire a gardener, and that can run you close to $100 a month for a good gardener that's going to come in and do a good job. So things like that. If you have a swimming pool, you're going to need a pool guy, unless you want to try to get that pH balance in the water correct and avoid algae and, your pool from turning green. So those are extra costs that people don't sometimes really consider because they just don't know, right? And when you don't know something, you just don't know until you're actually in it. Now you've got a gardener, $100. Now you've got a pool guy. That's probably another $100. Now you have, you're making friends. You have to have a network of people that you trust, like a plumber, a roofer, maybe a handyman that knows how to do certain things really well. And then there will be those times where you need an actual, professional that's just focused in one area, that specializes in one thing. So those are costs that can come up. And then, Shannon, we were talking about supplemental taxes, right?
Yeah.
So one-time tax that a home buyer will pay once they purchase a property. And sometimes realtors don't mention that when they're selling a home, right? And the buyer ends up calling later. What's this bill I just got in the mail 2 months later?
I actually get those calls because I don't know, with the loan, they always talk to me about the numbers. So now I'm starting to mention regardless if the agent says it or not, I'm saying, hey, there is going to be a bill that you're going to get, because obviously when you buy the property, it triggers the county assessor's office to then have to reevaluate your property, because the property taxes that the owner is currently paying now is from the time that they purchased.
Right.
And so now when it changes hands, it then triggers something from the assessor's office to say, hey, we need to reevaluate this property. And whatever that difference is, you're going to have a one-time bill, like Patricia says, a one-time bill. That's going to be the difference between what the old property taxes were to the new one. And it's like a pretty much a new amount that switches to whatever the current value is now that the city is set. So whatever that difference is, you're going to have to pay for it. It does come in 2 installments, so you don't have to pay for it all at once, but you do have to pay for it one time. Now, when we're doing a loan, typically we already estimate whatever the property tax rate is, and we bundle in that number into your monthly payment. So if, for example, current owner is only paying, let's just call it, I don't know, $3,000 a month or $3,000 a year in property taxes, you're not going to be paying that. The bank is going to take the new purchase price, times that by the property tax rate based on the new purchase price. And now they're going to divide that up into 12 months. And that's going to be your new tax payment that's going to be added onto your monthly payment. So the taxes that you're paying on your mortgage is already going to be caught up. Now your supplemental bill is a one-time tax that the county is going to send to you for that difference, that one-time difference. And then once you pay that, if you chose to have your tax and insurance lumped into your mortgage payment, then that new amount should be already caught up. And sometimes it's actually, we estimate a little bit more than what it actually is. And you sometimes get a little refund check if your escrow account goes over. So that sometimes does happen. But just worry about your supplemental tax bill. Expect a bill to come in. It's going to be a few thousand. Hopefully it's just a few thousand that comes in that you have to pay one time. And then after that, whatever especially if you work with me, I will calculate the current appraised value and multiply that by the current property tax rate. So that way your monthly payment already has baked in what the current value is. And you're not stuck, with paying out more. We overestimate and you might get back a little bit more. So
there was a time when lenders would charge a premium for a customer to waive impound accounts. Is that still true?
Yeah, no, yeah. We won't charge a premium, but the interest rate does change. So your interest rate can change by an
if you have an impound account than if you don't.
Yes. I've seen it go as high as a half of a point, as low as an eighth. So 0.125% of the loan.
They will, not of interest rate.
Well, yeah. Well, sometimes depending on the bank, it could be either or. Depending on the bank, I've seen the bank not do the fee. I've seen them we'll change the rate, and I've seen the bank say, "Hey, we'll charge you a one-time fee and keep the same rate." So it all depends on who you're working with. But yeah.
And I think I've always recommended, I don't deal a lot with first-time buyers, so I'm out of my range of experience lately. But anybody listening, I would definitely recommend you to get an impound account for two reasons. One, if you don't do it with a lender, you really need to do the same for yourself anyhow, because you got to think about your property taxes twice a year, and you have to have some accounting for that. Or if you happen to have extra money in your personal account all the time, maybe you don't have to worry about it. But most people, it's just a smart way to allocate it, included in your mortgage payment. And people say, "Well, I don't want them to have my money." Well, you have a lot of their money. If you borrow, $500,000, $1 million, they're not gonna just steal your money from you, because you could just take it off the balance theoretically. So, and I do find that it's particularly good for when you purchase, and particularly that first year until the supplementals are done and everything gets reset. Then maybe you want to go off of it, but you're going to get hit, and the lender's going to collect the correct amount on the impounds to cover that most of the time. So I think I always recommend people get the impound account. Don't be stupid and say you have to hold on your money. You need to have money saved for other things anyhow, rainy day funds, emergencies, and I think impounding is a you don't get a great rate, or you don't get any interest, or you get a couple pennies a year, whatever it is. It's the same with your bank account. That's not really the issue.
Yeah, I have some investors that don't impound their accounts, right? But again, like you said, they're seasoned people. They have the money. They know exactly what's going on.
Yeah,
but first-time home buyers, you're right. I highly suggest, especially because the monthly payment's already going to be daunting as it is, or the expense of having a home is going to be daunting as it is. You don't want to have to think about something else. It's already going to be baked in your payment. You don't have to worry about it. The only thing you do have to worry about is that supplemental bill one time. And if you're listening to us, it's not going to be a surprise. And then you just have that monthly, payment every month,
Well, and theoretically, an investor, they have QuickBooks and they're accounting for it. They just don't account for it by putting it in the impound account. But personally, I'm the broker of record for a commercial property management company. We account for the property taxes. We know we're getting reassessments. We're already collecting money based on the fact we're going to get reassessed. And we know it's an 18-month delay before those things get corrected or triggered. So definitely, that's my recommendation. Patricia, where are you on the impound? Yes, no? Am I being an old crudgety grandpa on the porch, or is this good advice?
You're a sweet grandpa. So I've tried both ways. I've tried the impound account, and then I removed my impound account one year, and I thought I'll just pay it on my own, which I did.
Famous last words. Having done that one, didn't work out good for me. I'm just sorry. I'm sorry.
But I mean, I paid my taxes, but I really felt the pinch even more
Right.
because when you have the payment included in your mortgage payment, you don't even feel it anymore because you know you're just making your mortgage payment and that's the same amount every month. When you have to shell out, you know, $3,000 for one installment during the holidays in December, and then again right after the holidays in February through
April.
April, that's kind of tough. So I
Yeah.
prefer the impound account, and so I ended up calling my lender and adding it back in.
Wow.
I think
So
some,
someone that
I actually
went from not doing it now
I had
had
it
to call back.
impounded, I removed it, and then I added it back in.
yeah,
And
just,
we actually just got done paying property taxes because it's due December 10th. If you don't pay it by
Right.
December 10th, you get a 10% penalty. And on
Get it.
top of the supplemental, it's like $10,000, right? So if you had it impounded in, it would have been better. But yeah, like Patricia says, it does make a pinch. And someone's Christmas present's not going to be as nice as it was before because I had to pay this
come
bill.
on, Shannon. I went to those whatever new golf clubs. I'm not
Now,
gonna get it
and
now.
it's
Is that what
funny,
you're telling
now
me?
I can say I have a kid to feed too. So I
There you go.
the excuse to be cheap.
There you go. That I'm gonna tell you, I use that one almost
Oh
my
my
entire
God, that's
adult
the new
life.
line for me. I have a kid to pay for, guys. I can't afford
Yes.
to.
Everybody's
That's
sympathetic to
hilarious.
that.
But
Oh, really? And your case is a newborn, so even more so.
hey, I got a 529 account to fund. I can't, you know what I mean? They got diapers. They got,
What's funny is new parents always complain about the cost, diapers, milk. Let me tell you something. When they're teenagers, that's when the real money
I
starts
know.
racking up.
Everyone's telling me. They're like,
Yeah.
this ain't nothing.
This ain't nothing. But it feels like because you went from 0 to, you know, it's not inconsequential. I mean,
Yeah.
I also think when you
Yeah.
have a newborn, you're also going out less. You're
Yeah, you're saving on that
lifestyle
end
You're
too.
staying
Just-
home more. You're cooking at home. You're enjoying, you know, quiet dinners at home for the most part. You're
Yeah.
enjoying your
Yeah.
homemade food. You shop
Yeah.
more at the market. You're more careful about things that you're spending your money on.
My daughter told me how much money she cut out of entertainment going out for restaurants because she recently had our third grandson, and it's not insubstantial. You know, you can spend a lot of money going out. You know, it all adds up. And in our case, she has free babysitting because my wife is the grandma on call who literally walked out the door to go see the grandkids. So, okay,
Thank
so
God.
here we are. I'm sorry, I have a burning question. December 3rd. This is going to come out on December 5th on Friday. So we just got through Thanksgiving. It feels to me like there's kind of a Thanksgiving hangover effect still. This is not the Friday after Thanksgiving. We're now on the Wednesday. This is going to release on the Friday after Thanksgiving. On one hand, in the greater business world, I feel a real slowdown in activity, right? Calling attorneys, calling escrows, everybody's a little slower. People are out, people are busy. But the real estate transactions, at least in my world, are still happening. There still seems to be showings. There still seems to be offers. What's your feel of the pace of the business right now?
I feel like people are on cruise control right now. I mean, I feel like there are deals that are happening. I'm still showing property. I'm still negotiating. Shannon and I have an escrow right now that we're working on. But I just feel like there's not a huge push right now.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm still getting calls. I'm still getting people that I'm still catching up to myself from last week and pushing my underwriters because they're lagging. But I'm still getting people that are interested, oddly enough, that want to buy, that are serious. Like you said, the volume is not as much as I would say even 2 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I do see a little bit of a slowdown, but probably like 30%. I'm still getting people that are calling me, people that are negotiating. It's funny, the people that are reaching out now are serious. That is the thing, is after Thanksgiving, it does drop a little bit in terms of volume, but I would say the serious buyers, and people that are very serious, they're reaching out now.
Mm-hmm.
So if you guys are out there, definitely this is a good time to get a deal because not a lot of people are out there, in my opinion, right? Obviously, I'm not on the real estate side, but I am seeing a lot more people getting accepted in November and December in terms of buyers than ever before. So, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I do think that buyers who are out now for a reason, more right,
Exactly.
so there'd be less, but I think more serious in numbers, and I think the real estate agents also, the ones who are working are professionals who are working through the holiday, and the ones who are not, are nothing wrong with it if you semi-retired or whatever, or it's a part-time gig and you're busy with your other job and office party, but people working now, I always found this time of year, partially because I'm not Christian, so I don't have any religious procedures here. Christmas isn't a big day for me, in the sense I'm an American and I appreciate what's going on and the festivity, but I'm just saying, we don't have any real special time off like we did for Thanksgiving or Jewish holidays. So for me, I just noticed though that there are people who want to do business this time of year, and I'm available to do business with them. And I've always seen that. My entire career, that's always been the case. That December's been one of my best years.
What's been one of your best months?
Best months, always been one of my
Really?
best months, consistently.
Wow.
Yeah, and it might be this month. I mean, I saw a good start already with just the leads I've already started working on, and hoping to get this one deal closed and maybe another one. So who knows? Yeah. Though I have a property, Patricia, that probably I still, it's interesting how all the activity, yet
Yes.
no, we're not an escrow on it. So it's one of those things yet, but we have a unique case where we have. I think I underpriced my listing just enough to piss off the neighbor, where they gave up and just went rock bottom to create an auction or something. It was a really interesting scenario I could speak about for an hour. But absent that, everything else I have is definitely getting a lot of attention, and a lot of everything's in escrow, everything's closing. So
That's awesome.
yeah. Well, not quite everything. And we're still working on some other stuff together. But anyhow, okay. So Patricia, any last words or thoughts, or what's happening this weekend, or how do people get hold of you if they want more?
Yeah, I mean, I think, like you said, right now all the serious buyers are out. I still see listings coming on the market. In fact, this week we had 5 new listings in Downey come on the market. So
Right.
people are listing their homes right now. Buyers are out there making offers, buying homes. So it's a good time right now. And if I could be of any help, I'm at 323-365-9909.
Okay. And do correct me if I'm not wrong, but Downey, that's the Beverly Hills of the 562, correct?
I would say it's a nice area to live. Yes.
Very
with an
nice. Very
award-winning
nice.
school district.
Okay, there you go. And Shannon, the lender.
Yeah, my last words are, again, if you're thinking about buying, this is actually a really good time to look into it. Obviously, if you pull the trigger now, you're probably not going to be closing until, if you could reach out to me this week, we probably could squeeze you in before the end of the year, but most likely you're going to be buying for next year. So if you're already planning your New Year's resolutions and one of them is to become a homeowner, definitely reach out to me. We can, get you pre-qualified at no cost to you. Or if you don't want your credit pulled, we can do a soft check or just a preliminary check. Just, hey, let me know what it is verbally, and I can get you some preliminary numbers. So reach out to me, 661-317-8484, or my Instagram, FUND Fun with Shannon. Still available. We're still working. Still here to serve you guys. And also, I think rates have been creeping up a little bit, by the way. So, and I think the Fed announcement next week is still, I think rates are still going to creep up just a little bit. They're not on the downward. They kind of spiked a little bit. So just be cognizant of that. Huh?
Not a big change. They've kind of been holding steady in the lower sixes.
Yeah. They've kind of been like this a little bit. So it's.
Whoa, that's not how I'm seeing it. I'm seeing the rates are almost at the bottom they've been in this past cycle. No?
No, I've been pricing this, like, for example, I priced someone, but this was an investment loan at 6.6, and today it's 6.8. So like a 0.2 difference. Again, yeah, it's like what they said. It's like it's a hair, but it's not from last week to this week. I haven't seen it gone down.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're pretty close to the bottom that we've been for the last year, and I think there is room for it still. I don't think we really got to the equilibrium where we should be. I think there's room to run. I know, for example, I see gas prices in my area are down now. I'm in LA. That's a driver of costs and inflation and overall, I think, the economy. But okay, well, there you go. You have it from somebody pricing loans, because I can only look at the market. I can't say I priced one myself. So, but they're certainly in the range that have been amongst the lowest for the last year or so, right?
No, yeah,
So,
I would say, yeah, in terms of especially the year to date, we are very low
Yeah.
from when I was pricing things in January. So this is, if your rate is an excuse of why you're not buying, I don't think it is anymore.
You're missing the boat. You're missing the boat for sure.
Exactly.
Well, good. Well, hey, thanks, guys. I'm Bill Gross at Bill Gross Probate. If you want to reach out to me, if I can help in any way, we do this. So we issue a new episode every Friday. Homebuyer seminar. Reach out if we can help in any way. And as always, make today your best day ever. Thanks so much.
Bye.